Welcome to Making a Mystic, your favorite podcast for all things spiritual, esoteric, mystical, and magical, where we take a deep dive into understanding all the things misunderstood and how to use these concepts and principles to manifest a more fulfilling life for ourselves. I just want to give everybody an extra big thank you for being with us on our very first introduction episode. A little bit about myself. My name is Braden Mann. I am an occultist, polytheist, ceremonial magician, currently studying my bachelor's degree in metaphysical sciences through the University of Metaphysics in Sedona, Arizona. Why did I start metaphysics? Faith and spirituality have always been a big passion of mine, but more specifically, understanding the beliefs correctly, breaking down the scriptures, the texts, rather than just simply being told something and believing it wholeheartedly. I want to genuinely feel, I want to know, I want to understand the things that I say I believe. Understanding consciousness and how to access these things at will is very intriguing to me. Ever since I was young, I had to have been probably 10, 11, 12 years old. One of the things and concepts that really boggled my mind, that has just been amazing to me, is the idea of losing something. Okay? If we lose something, if we put it down, we lost our wallet, our phone, our keys, the next day we go looking for it, we genuinely cannot find it. We have no idea where it is. We cannot remember the last place we had it. We cannot remember where we put it. Whatever. The idea to me that we don't know, but we do. We have so much of our mind that we are not readily accessing on a daily basis at all times. So if you put your keys down on Sally's table and walked away and forgot about it, it's still in your mind. It's in your conscious. It's in your subconscious. It's somewhere in there. And the fact that you can sit there and you can stop and think and dig deep into your mind to find potentially where you lost this item that you swore you had no idea where it was. That has been one of the most mind-blowing concepts to me my entire life. The fact that it's in there, whether you think you remember or not. You could be so adamant that you do not remember where it is, but it is in there. You do know where it is. You put it down. Your mind subconsciously set it somewhere and looked at it and then stored that away in your mind. I want to learn how to access that. I want to learn how to sit in meditation, close my eyes, search the innermost parts of my mind. I find it so incredibly intriguing. So that's just a little quick brief, a little babble on my schooling and kind of what interests me in that. My whole goal, I guess, as a content creator, making these podcasts for you guys, I say for you guys, but they're honestly, they're just as much for me as they are you. This is a place where I can put my thoughts, the things I understand, the things I'm learning, I'm reading, whether it be through my course in metaphysics or any of my personal practices and studies that I do on my own time. But I honestly don't want to limit it to just the things that I am learning at this time. I have a bunch of guests lined up that I hope will pull through and be super, super interesting for you guys, because I would like to take a look at diving into other religions, other beliefs, other daily practices, because some of these may not even be considered a religion or a spiritual belief. A lot of these concepts I find are very similar from religion to what some people now are calling, New Age development, positive life, positive thinking. So I very much would like to dive into these other traditions to better understand them and look at kind of comparing to see how not so different we all are, Compare some of these Christian traditions and practices through the church two old ancient pagan traditions and how they have similarities in what they're actually truly doing, not what they're saying, not the physical actions, but what these things all represent and how they affect our daily lives. I personally have a very large interest in Hinduism, Buddhism, occultism, and paganism. Those are my four main focuses on my personal studies. I find they all have very structured principles and understanding of really just how to use this in a daily life rather than once a week when we decide that we want to go sit in church or we want to go confess our sins or whatever you do on your specific spiritual day. The understanding that it doesn't matter what we do on one day. These are things that we have to implement into our daily lives, into everything we do to manifest this better life for ourselves. One of my favorite little mottos really is, for all I know nothing if I do not demonstrate a better life, which basically means you could be a walking encyclopedia. You could know everything there is to know about religion, what every individual calls God, what you call God, anything you can think of. Walking encyclopedia does not mean anything if you can't take those actions and put them to practical use in your daily life. In the occult field, we call that an armchair magician. Somebody who learns these practices and learns the key, the understanding to achieving these things that we want to achieve or understand, or however you want to look at it, and not practically applying them in our daily life. But not to deep dive into too many topics on our first episode. This is more of just an introduction. A few more things we're going to be touching on are my personal practices, again, like I said, of ceremonial magic. How people through the ages have used ceremonial magic, where these traditions have stemmed from, why they're used, how they're used, and what they can do for you. Now, it will all be UPG, which means unverified personal gnosis, which basically means what I felt, how it affected me, or what it did to my daily life to make a change. May not be what happens for you. It's not going to be what happens for everybody. It is a personal journey. It is a personal understanding. I'm not claiming that my way is the right way or what I feel is the right feeling. Everybody's different. Everybody learns at their own pace. Everybody experiences things differently. The only thing that I can confirm is that these practices do work. If you put them and implement them into your daily life, even in small ways, even as much as taking time to think about what you want and really understand and put that thought into the universe, they do work. How it will affect you is what will be different, and that is the journey that I think is the most fun. Understanding how it's going to affect us and what we can do differently to have those effects amplified. Another big one for me that I cannot wait to dive into with you guys is the concept of true will versus free will. What is true will? What is free will? And can one have free will while still sticking with their true will? Does true will get in the way of free will? Or do we have a nice medium that we can use? I will discuss what I think, how I feel. Slowly over time, I will get more into my beliefs. Maybe we'll make another episode in itself for that, because I don't want to spend too much time on it other than this episode. But honestly, if I talk to you guys about every single thing I wanted to touch on this podcast or potentially dive into, we would be here for hours. So hopefully we can take this as a nice little introduction, kind of warm us up, get me used to talking to this microphone. That way when we get into the nice juicy subjects, I'm all loosey-goosey ready to go, like it's my job. I'm hoping to post ideally once a week for everybody. I will be loading up to YouTube as well as various podcast streaming websites and subscriptions. And I'm even going to be setting up a Patreon account for all of my listeners who want a little bit of a more personal look into my life and my practices. Maybe concepts throughout the week, things I want to touch on. You'll have early access to the podcasts, YouTube videos, and so much more awesome information. I'm hoping to just have a lot of fun with doing this. Basically, like I said, this is for me just as much as it is for you guys. So if you think you're going to be interested, give me subscribe. Be ready for next week. Can't wait to see you guys. Thanks for listening.